And welcome to One More Thing podcast. Today I'm joined with Dr. Larry Baucom.
Good morning.
Good morning. Well, we concluded the Becoming More series this weekend, and man, what a powerful illustration. We'll get to it with the staff, and I'll ask you some questions about that. But I really enjoyed this series. Like I said before, I was kind of, asking the question, where were we going?
Right.
I knew it was about Moses, but man, what an incredibly insightful series to become more. And there were some points you made that I thought were very, very, again, very lucid points that were very applicable. And one of the ones you touched on at the beginning was this idea of getting outside of the comfort zones, What is a comfort zone to you? When you think of that, we kind of throw that word away, like people just presume we know what we're talking about. But what things do you think comfort zones take for people who are trying to?
Well, I think people like to minimize risk, but risk is manageable, I think. For me, my comfort zone is, well, as long as I'm within my risk parameters, I'm okay. And where a lot of people get frustrated, and I was frustrated for years when I was in the denominational church, and I work for 10 people who've been elected to the office of the board, and they don't even know how to do my job. And so we could never buy property or build buildings or do things without a lot of committees and board meetings. So the comfortable thing to do is, I'm not going to do it. Mm-hmm. I'm just not going to take the risk because it's too frustrating.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it because I don't have control over it. Some people in retirement, they retire early because they work for a corporation. They're just tired of the corporate. You do this, you have no say. Mm-hmm. But I've taken great risk in my life as long as I can calculate the risk.
Yep.
And I'm responsible. But if someone says, look, join with me on my endeavor, and they're taking all the risk, or they're making all the decisions, and I'm taking all the risk. I think risk and decisions need to go together. But comfort zone is do less, relax more, stay home, watch more football, eat more comfort food. That's in my comfort zone, particularly your native cuisine is one of my favorites. So I think that, but people who don't step outside their comfort zone, I don't think they really reach the full potential of their life. Mm-hmm. I think they will always settle for not what stretches me, but that which is comfortable.
Yeah.
And I love to use the analogy of a guitar. A guitar, the strings on there have to be tuned, E-A-D-G-B-E.
Yep.
And you tune those strings at the right tension, and you get the right sound. If one has too much stress, then it sounds bad. But if you take it out of its tension, to where there's no risk or stress at all, it sounds horrible.
Yep.
So sometimes you need just the right blend of stress and tension in life to get the best music. But comfort zone is not just play a guitar with no strings. See where it goes.
Yeah, it doesn't sound right at all.
No sound at all.
And so when you look at the life of Moses, and this is something we've talked about before, God's anger burns. And I loved your illustration when you kind of you got real tense on the stage, and it was very dramatic. But it's not like God sent down fire and burned up Moses. He met him at that point of need, of fear, and he says, "Your brother Aaron's on the way." And it's not. I don't think God gets angry with us that we want to stay comfortable.
Right.
And I say it all the time. God loves us exactly where we are, but way too much for us to stay there. And we have to have that someone who comes alongside of us, who believes in us, in our mission, in our vision, and what our abilities truly are. And that was one of the most beautiful things you said, was God sees in us what we can't see in ourselves often. Like, where's that been true for you, Dr. Baucom?
Oh, wow. I think early when I started, your confidence level is low. Mm-hmm. You don't know. There's certain levels of insecurity. I've tried to always be a worker, but sometimes you don't know. I mean, you see guys do great things, and you hope you can measure up. I look back on my life, and I see it a lot better looking backward than I do seeing forward. Mm-hmm. So in the rearview mirror, I see the formative years and the formation that's happened and the change and correction. going through college as a business major was just a different thing. At the time, it really wasn't. It was my brother's idea.
Yeah.
You need to take marketing and do all this stuff, and I kind of did and toyed with the idea, not at that stage of not even pastoring. But it didn't last long. My call had been so strong in my life that, and I never knew exactly how that would help me, but it has.
It has
many different aspects. But I don't know. I think that to become more, unless we feel a certain amount of challenge, we really never will stretch to become more.
Yeah.
But that's fear of failing is, you make a bad grade. Although I've had a lot of good grades.
Yeah.
So although we'll tell you about the one I had that was the worst grade I ever got.
Yeah.
I was 16 years old. I already had a driver's license from Tennessee. Moved to Florida. It was my junior year and of high school. And I took driver's ed in St. Petersburg, St. Pete High. And I started with the class the first week and then changed my schedule and went to it the second week. So one week I went on Monday, the next week I went on Tuesday. Well, the week I went on Monday, they didn't give out a syllabus that week. They gave it out on Tuesday. So basically, I didn't get the homework assignment for the first 6 weeks. And you sat in study hall for driver's ed. I just did my homework, no big deal. At the end of 6 weeks, I got an F in driver's ed. An F. I thought, how's
driver's ed.
In driver's ed. And I had a license. But I went to talk to the guy. I said, "What's up?" He goes, "Well, you never turned anything." I said, "I didn't know anything about it." I didn't know to turn anything. I didn't know that he'd given that out because my schedule had shifted. And I missed that one class. So long and short of it, he said, "Don't worry, so I ended up with a B average." But I was a point then to go, I will make him pay. A 2-word answer got a 2-page response.
There you go.
And driver's ed guys are not really the academics of the world.
That's right.
But then after that, he realized I had a license. I became his errand boy. So, but it was, I had that out of all the report cards. I have a lot of dean's lists, straight A's, but that one is a special place in a photo album. Yeah. And I show it with an F. And I show it to my grandkids. Look, I flunked. So you want to know why I drive badly? Look.
You flunked driver's ed.
I wasn't trained.
That's beautiful, man.
Anyway, so.
The thing that you mentioned from the, and I think it was one of your points I'm trying to recall, which I thought again was very practical, is that we have to stay away from inactivity, like becoming more. And we say it from stage all the time. Your transformation will require your participation.
Right.
Why do we believe that somehow God just downloads patience, downloads humility, downloads perseverance like a computer chip, and now we got it. It's like the Matrix with Neo. He's plugged in. Now I know kung fu.
Right.
Without the practice. And you talked about that in order to become good, to become more, it's going to require maybe things from us that we're not wanting to do, like maybe get up off the couch.
Right.
Maybe go and be a little bit more social, maybe actually come to church live in person, if we're able to.
I have a great story about that. I've talked to a relative of mine who had a significant amount of money, 7 figures in his retirement stuff, and he was in CDs at 0.5%. And I was just remember telling him, I know avenues to where you can get 4%, 5%. I know somebody's that's paying 9 or 10. And he would say, I'm risk averse. Mm-hmm. I do not want to make those investments. And I said, the greatest risk you're taking is your inactivity. Mm-hmm. It's doing nothing. The fact that you're letting the cost of living this much in inflation and your money's locked here. Yep. You at least need to put it in here.
Yep.
And I gave my opinion, and I don't know if you ever did anything about it, but it's inactivity. So you got to doing nothing.
Yep.
Is probably never a good idea.
Yeah, and that's so true in the spiritual journey, in the spiritual realm, and trying to be more Christ-like. And I try to model, not purposely for people, it's just who I am. I talk to everyone.
Right.
Everyone. It just, for whatever reason, God has given me a personality that attracts people to engage in questions. And, it's kind of like, there's this place called Suncoast that I'm so proud to be a part of, that everything in my body, everything in my being says, when they have questions about God, come and see.
Right.
Come and see. Come and check this out. And that sort of segues to the last sort of illustration that you made that I even mentioned was very powerful for me, very, very moving, is that there is something about the human tendency that this is mine. And it's so funny that, that Leighton sang the Nemo song, because in Nemo, you have all these birds flocked around this one little fish, and they're all sitting there going, mine, 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 and the fish gets away. But Moses' staff, he's like, no, this is mine. This is mine. This is my identity. So many things of who I am is locked into this object. And for many people, it could be their job. It could mean their retirement, how much money they have in the bank. It could be the kind of car they drive, their home, their influence, whatever. But you use the analogy when you give it to God, when what is mine now becomes his, it becomes more, and therefore you become more. So explain that analogy for those who may not have seen it, and what it means to you to lay something down.
Well, I think that his staff was his identity. I'd say even not just security, but also his ego is tied up to that. But when you throw that down before God and you simply say, here's my ego, this is my security, this is the essence of me. And when I throw it down, and he says, now pick it back up. And, of course, the joke is pick it up by the tail. It's, around here, you don't pick up hissing snakes. You're not from around here, are you?
Yeah.
So, but pick it up. And what he did, the transformation of that which was his now became God's. And it's really interesting that I've basically been one of those guys. Another life, I remember going down to pray and just tell God, here's my checkbook. Here it is. Everything I have belongs to you. And it becomes God's. And then I still have my checkbook, but I try to be very generous with what I do and try to be attuned with the fact that I'm using these resources and a stewardship of everything that I have. I'm a steward of his resources that he's given to me.
Yep.
And I think that's part of the thing is just, but when you pick it back up, man, when you pick the staff up, they touch the water and they walk through on dry ground. They picked it back up, they touch the rock, and and water gushed forth.
That's right.
When the staff of Moses became the staff of God, he began to make a change in the world far beyond himself.
Yeah.
And I want to be sure that I'm one of those guys that everything I have, I throw them down.
Yeah.
We'll finish with a little story I've got.
Yeah.
It's a guy, good illustration. It's a guy in church one day that stood up in like a Wednesday night church. He said, prayer meeting type thing. So I want you to know, or Sunday night, he said, I want you to know that when I came to this church as a little boy, and he said, I've been coming here my whole life. And I remember this day that the preacher talked to me about giving my all to God. And I took every dollar in my account and I gave them to God. He said, I gave him everything. And after that, my business took off. Now I have over $1 million. He said, but it all started right there. And he said, I'm grateful. And the little lady was standing there and she said, I dare you to do it again. So it's this whole thing of, try it one more time.
Try it again.
And I think that cycle, it's not a one time.
That's right.
That staff that Moses carried that was his and it became God's, he probably, some days he thought it was his again.
Yeah.
And he had to keep saying, no, I remember the day that I presented this to God.
That's right.
And everything that comes forth from this is because of that presentation, not because of me.
Yeah.
It's a very selfless way to live, and I think it's a good way to live.
Yeah, that just reminds me of something you say quite a bit. If you want to become more, go back to the place where you started to. So go find God. Go back to where you remember that encounter with God, Yeah. And that, again, is such a powerful illustration that, hey, I gave it all to him right here. Do it again.
Do it again.
Do it again. Here you are again.
I know.
And see what'll happen.
Yep. And there are days in your life when you do that. And I think it not only changes who we are, but I think it changes our community.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine if everyone made all their resources available? Well, it's almost like Acts chapter 2, the early church.
That's right.
They all gave their stuff and everybody's need was met. But that's not the way our society works today. But there still are those who are willing to throw it down.
That's right.
And pick it back up again for God. And that's pretty powerful.
Yeah, man. So awesome. Well, this week we start a new series. I'm excited about it. I think this is going to be, for me, as I do the reading, probably the best sermon series I've ever preached, man. I'm so excited about it.
And it's called what?
It's called Fearless, but we're playing on the word fearless.
Excellent.
And it's reimagining religion, and it's got a lot of your theology in it, and it's not about religion. It's about following Jesus, man.
Right,
And
right.
so that's what it's all about.
I look forward to hearing every one of those.
Can't wait.
Me too.
Awesome. Thanks, Dr. Baucom.
Thank you.